So here's the first page of the Chapter 8 test review for Wednesday's test. First problem, it's saying you're using Pythagorean theorem. And over here, you've got this square root you have to deal with. But it's still Pythagorean theorem. So you're going to go 4 squared plus 16 square root of 13 squared, the whole thing, equals c squared. Hypotenuse always goes by itself. 4 squared is 16. And then this part, the squared, is going to affect the 16 and the 13 separately. So 16 squared is 256. And then it's going to be multiplied with this 13 that's not going to be in a square root anymore. Remember, you're going to multiply before you add, so 256 times 13. $3,328. Now you're going to add those two together. 3,344. Last step, you have to square root it. So that means you're going to be factoring this out. So 3,344 can be divided by 2. That's 1672. Then this can be broken down some more, dividing by 2 again. It's 836. It's an even number. We can divide by 2 again. We get 418. Still an even number. Divided by 2 again. Got 209. Now we have to try other numbers. So we've got 209. Not going to be able to divide by 2. I know the rule that for dividing by 3, if you can add these 3 numbers, like all of the digits, if you add them up, and if you can divide that by 3, you'd be able to do that. So I know I can't divide by 3. I know I'm not going to divide by 4 because it's not an even number. I'm not going to divide by 5 because it doesn't end with a 9 or a 0. I'm not going to go with 6 because it's not even. Let's try 7. Didn't work. So let's go back to 209. Divide by, let's see, 8's not going to work, 9's not going to work, 10's not going to work. Let's try 11. 11 worked. So 11 and 19. And I know those are both prime. So looking for pairs, we got a pair of 2's from here. We've got another pair of 2's right in here. And then after that, this 11 and 19 don't have any pairs. The 836 got broken down, the 418 was broken down, and the 209 was broken down. So did the 1672. So we've got 2. We've got another 2. And then 11 and 19 are going to multiply back together, which was the 209. I have it right here. So this would be 4 square root of 209. Second problem, looking at a pipeline, and on this one, approximately how many miles will the old, should have been did, the old travel through, the oil travel through the old pipeline. So this is your hypotenuse, it's across from the right angle, so this is going to be the C value. These two are the legs. 1 squared plus 27 squared equals c squared. 1 plus 27 squared is 729. Add that up, that's 730. Now we gotta square root it. Because of this approximately, I know I can just do it in the calculator and get a decimal. So that'd be 27.0. Okay, on this next problem, it has a 33-foot ladder resting against the wall. So if you imagine, here's the guy on the ladder. This would be the 33 feet. And it's 26 feet up the wall. So 26 feet up this wall. And how far away from the bottom of the wall is the bottom of the ladder? So here's the bottom of the wall, here's the bottom of the ladder. So we're looking for this one right here. We'll put X. Pythagorean theorem, 2 out of 3 sides. So X squared, 26 squared, 33 squared. 26 squared is 676. 33 squared, 1089. Need to move this across. We have 413. Got to square root it to get the x all by itself. Square root 413. 20.3. The directions say you may round off to the nearest tenth of a foot, so 20.3. This one says, this is a learning target, technically, not the directions, but it says you can use a Pythagorean theorem, the converse of it, to classify. So the biggest number here would be the 12. That's going to be the C value. 8 squared, 7 squared, 12 squared. So 8 squared is 64. I shouldn't have put that equal sign. 7 squared is 49. Over here we have 144. Adding together 64 and 49, we get 113. So according to the legs, it should have given us a 113, but we got 144, which is too big. That means the hypotenuse is too large, so that's going to make it obtuse. Next one, we have 16, 9, and 24. 24 is the biggest one. That's the one that's going to go by itself. 16 squared, 9 squared, 24 squared. I'm not gonna put this equal sign because I don't know if it is or not. So 16 squared, 256. 9 squared is 81. 24 squared, 576. Adding these two together, 256 plus 81 is 337. So again, it's supposed to have been 337, came out to be 576. That's much larger than it should have been. Your hypotenuse side was too big, so again, this would be obtuse. If this side is too small, that's going to be when it becomes acute. Next one, you're supposed to be using the special right triangle rules. And if this is supposed to be the a times the square root of 2, we're going in reverse. So in order to find a, we're going to divide by the square root of 2. And it says you need to leave the answer in a simplified radical. You can't leave square roots in the bottom. So multiply by the square root of 2 so you have a couple of them so it can come out of that square root. Now, if you can simplify the radical, if you can reduce the fraction that's not inside the square root, you have to do that. So 74 and 2 can both be divided by 2. It's going to be 37 square root of 2, because this is going to reduce. And you have 37, and you're not going to need the bottom, the denominator. Number 7, last one for this page. The rule for the 30, 60, 90 is this is the most important side. And from here to the long leg, you multiply by the square root of 3. So we're going backwards. You're going to divide by the square root of 3. just like up here, multiply by another square root of 3. So you can get it out of the square root sign, and it'll just be 3 out of the radical. If you can simplify this fraction or reduce this fraction, you gotta do it. They can both be divided by 3, so it's gonna be 9 square root of 3. And now that we know this one, the hypotenuse is easy on the 30, 60, 90s because from the short leg to the hypotenuse, you just multiply by 2. So you get the 9 square root of 3, and you multiply it by 2. That's how you can find the C value. So it's going to be 18 square root of 3.